Yeah, good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here and attending this, as Murat said, very traditional long product presentation. Apologies from Danny, it was a change in his position in Celsa, and he's very busy these days with the new role, so he asked me to come here. And I'm glad, I'm happy to be here after 4 years. I think last time I was on the stage, very happy to be here. And as we say, all steel rockers, we always come back. Yeah? So let's start with the presentation. That's a summary of the contents. We're going to start very quick with the macroeconomics because we had a very nice presentation from the guy from the Commerce Bank. But just to point, as has been mentioned on that presentation, that economy probably, we see economy is slowing down. If we see the table on the left and we compare with the table on the right, table on the left, there were the projections from EMF beginning of the year. And on the right, you have the ones for later in July. And you will see, if you compare, for instance, global economy, the growth expected beginning of the year was for 19, 3.5, now it's 3.2, so it's 0.3 below. And for 20, it was 3.6 and now it's 3.5. So all the factors that have been mentioned, Brexit, trade wars, different things are affecting the economy, are slowing down the economy. So that's the situation. I want to have that we have a look a little bit on a sector that is key in our business, in long products, and that is construction. Construction obviously pulls a lot of from our products and helps to keep the markets in healthy position. We got this graph in the screen. If we go from left to right, this is the growth expected for the next coming 4 years, and the vertical one is the growth that we have had in the last 4 years. So if we start from the right, we have 2 dots here, and basically both are related to Africa. So North Africa, Middle East, South Africa, those are the construction markets expected to grow more in the next 4 years at the pace of about 6%, and they were coming from a growth of 4%. So they're increasing, they're accelerating. The next one, the big dot, this is Asia. Asia is expected to grow at the pace of about 4%. Obviously, the main construction market there is going to be China, but it's coming from a growth of 6%. So it's going to be decelerating, and that I think has been said before. And then the ones that are at the queue in the left, these are Western Europe and North America. So these are the ones that are expected to have the slower growth and a little bit lower than the one that we had before. To go a little bit more in detail, this is construction output estimated for United States in the next years. And we see a growth. We see that the expansion in the construction business. One thing to mention is that the economy there, it appears to be slowing down. I say appears because at this point in time, nobody can have a clear picture, but it appears that at least what we got for sure is that in the beginning of the year, the economy was growing at a pace of 3.1%. And is expected to slow down to 2.1% end of the year. So even with that, we expect that the construction business in US, in all different sectors, will expand. This is for China. Obviously, in any one of the economies or one of the construction markets that is always key in forecasting what is going on, what is going to happen. And apparently, what is going to happen in China is that the construction industry will keep growing. obviously at a slower pace. If you see the bars and you see the line, the blue line that is showing the growth, we are coming down. The line is coming down, and we have had a growth of about 6% in terms of construction business in 2017, 18, 19, but that's going to slow down below 4% in the next coming years. So still growth, but less. Chinese construction will still be pushed by government spending in infrastructure jobs and things like that. This is India. That's a country and a market that in the last few years we are talking about them as a newcomer in terms of pushing importer market, pushing the steel market, and in terms of construction, activity is expected to grow there, still growing at a pace of between 6 and 7%. In terms of steel market, there were big expectations for growth this year at about 8% beginning of the year, and that's been downgraded. So the steel markets in India are slowing down a little bit for the end of the year, but they will come back to have a very healthy growth into 2020. And the last one, this is for Europe. In Europe, in the chart on the right, you got the yellow line. The yellow line shows the growth of construction industry as a whole in Europe. And you see that we had our peak in 2017 with a growth of 4.7%. And that's from them, the activity has been slowing down. We are still expecting a growth in the next coming years, but very modest in figures of 1-point-something%. In the map on the left, you got where this growth is gonna happen or is happening. The countries in blue are showing countries that with a growth over 2%. And you see that this is mainly Eastern Europe, Iberian Peninsula, Spain, Portugal, Norway, and Ireland. The ones in green, those are countries that are growing in the construction is growing, or it's going to be growing between 0 and 2%. This is Italy, Switzerland, France, and hopefully Britain, depending on what happens with the Brexit. And the ones that they are clearly, where clearly construction is going to be decelerating, it's going to be wow, sorry. Sorry about that. Germany and Sweden and Finland, those are the ones that clearly construction activity is going to decelerate. Okay, let's now go to what is the steel industry and what is happening and is going to happen. This is a graph on what's going to happen or expected to happen in terms of consumption of steel, right? 2019 is expected to finish with an increase of demand compared with 2018 of about 1.3%. And in 2020 market, we expect a further slowing down. So we expect a growth of 1% to a total of 1,752 million tons of steel. I'll skip this one because by region. That one is interesting because what we see here is that for the first 7 months of this year, production of steel worldwide has been still increasing by 5.1%. So this is up to July 2019 compared with 2018. So production still growing at a good pace, where, if you see the bars, this is blue is 2019, Red is 2018, and different areas of the world. We see that the one that has been pushing more in terms of production has been Asia, clearly. I mean, all other areas, production has been similar to the one year before, but in Asia is the one that has been increasing. Interesting here, I think, is this picture, this graph. And what we got here is all related to exports from China. The two graphs in the top left is exports of flat products, right is exports of long products. And what we see clearly here is that we had a top in 2015. We all remember that. But then from there, export has been going down. And if we see what is happening with flat products and with long products, it's different. I mean, the export in long product is reducing more and quicker than in flat products, all right? And if we can confirm that, if we now go to the two graph below, the one in the left, this is China exports by type of product. Red or brown is 2018, blue is 2019, and we see that the first one is flat products. That one here is flat products, and we see the 19 is going to be over 18. Second one is long products, and we see the long products, we're going to be better in about 13%. So it's going to, export of long products are going to go down like 13% from China. The last one, this one, where is that going to go? Well, we see the majority of tons are going to go into Asian countries. The first destination is Korea, second one Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, and Indonesia. So it appears that the Chinese steel products are not going to travel too far this year. Now about long products, specifically, total long product consumption. The rate of growth in the beginning of the first half of the year was about 10%. And that we see that is slowing down, and we expect finally to reach a total consumption of 851 million, which is going to be about 2%, 2 point something percent more than the year before. This is by products. And we see, if you look at the last bar here, this one, that the clear winner is, this is merchant bars, all right? From 182 to 192, so this is about, say, 10%. And the second one that is gaining in terms of consumption is rebars. Section is going to stay flat, and wire rod also, for the first time in many years, is going to stay flat. This is mainly due to the problems or the crisis affecting the automotive industry, especially in Europe. By region, the region that is growing the most in terms of consumption is Asia, 16%. China represents now already the 58% of the consumption, and only big markets, the big markets decreasing or slowing down are Turkey, 9%, and Germany, minus 8%. Let's go now specifically to rebar consumption around the world. The first half of 2019, almost 200 million tons. So that's most or the biggest consumption in the last 10 years. China, 56%. And we have a nice pie here saying that the next IREPAS probably will have to move to Asia. Asia being 69.5%, almost 70% of the consumption is happening in Asia. Also an interesting graph in terms of how consumption has moved in different regions in the last 10 years. Well, here the winner is Asia, where consumption has increased 74%. And the clear loser is Western Europe, where consumption has gone down 24%. North America, not too bad, 50% up. That's for being a developed country, that's quite a good figure. And CIS and Eastern Europe, 37%, and rest of the world, 26%. We always ask the question, what is happening in terms of production consumption? Is that balance around the world? And we have that almost everywhere. So if we say North America, Western Europe is balanced. Even now Asia appears to be balanced. The one that is still a bit unbalanced is CIS, Eastern Europe. There is still more production than consumption, especially now that the Turkish market is in a not very good situation. What's happening in the market in terms of price? This just wants to be a general information in terms of trends that we'll try to keep at date. This is the curve for price for red rebars, blue wire rod, and green billets. And we see this is the peak is, well, oh, sorry. The peak is here about 2018, where we reach this short-term peak, and from there the price has been going down, down, down. Reasons, probably the not good situation in the Turkish market, obviously one of the key players in the rebar market, and second, as we mentioned, all the trade disruptions, the trade restrictions that there are around the world, that they are putting pressure in the general export market. So really a significant decrease in price. And what's happening with the spreads, which is a kind of measuring the margins that the mills we are having, and that's reflected on the on the black line. We have here, I think, relevant points in time, which is this one, crisis 2009 and 9. The spread went down to a level of, let's say, 150 or 140 something. In year 2015, at the peak of the Chinese exports, even below 140, we recovered, and now with the current situation, we went down again to this very low point, and we recovered a little bit with the reduction of, or the fall of the scrap price. So at this point in time, I would say that the rebar industry is a bit under pressure in terms of margins and spreads. So just to finish, I will try to make a quick summary on what we think about what's going to happen or the situation in the market today. Well, today, if we just see what is happening in the long product consumption, we forecast for 19 an increase of market of something like consumption of something like 2.4%, but all the mounting uncertainties, as have been mentioned, and the recent raw material price drop, which is creating uncertainty among the customers, could soften a little bit this growth. So we could move around the figure of 2%. The same happens to rebar, where we expect a growth of 2% for this year to about 390 million tons, which is going to be a remarkable figure anyway. And point number 3 is that still happening construction activity in China, India, and the rest of Asia will give support to long products consumption, especially rebar and merchant bar. And that's compensating a little bit the slowdown that we are seeing in terms of construction in markets like Europe and North America. Due to all increasing barriers and more local production. We believe that, and we are suffering at that point, that rebar business is getting more and more local business. And then point number, the last point of that summary is that we see with the situation that we are seeing in the automotive industry around the world, we are seeing that the long product that is going to be really affected is going to be wire rod. And that's all. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the floor for Mr. Marti?
Easy ones, please.
Just a quick question from my side. That's not an easy one, but about the protectionism issue. What would be your outlook? There is certainly no solution in the short run, but do you have any wild guess how long this would continue?
Wow. I mean, I think the good thing, and apart from certain markets that are really suffering in terms of construction business, like Turkey, for instance, which is really suffering a severe downturn. The good thing about all what we are seeing these days is that demand is still there. And we try to repeat that ourselves at Celsa. Demand is still there. I mean, obviously now with a scrap going down and falling, the price of scrap falling, that's creating a reaction from customers to just say, hey, I don't want to touch this because it's just a falling knife. But demand is there. And at a point, people have to come back to buy. So I think that's a good part of it. I mean, demand is there. Construction business, which is one supporting our products in general, is positive.
Thank you.
I cannot say anything else.
Thank you. Any other questions? None, I suppose. So okay, thank you very much, Mr. Marti.